All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you guys for joining us. We're going to go ahead and get started here on overcoming objections, rates, prices, and buyer's agent value. Right. So I'll be honest, this was my working title here, overcoming objections on rates, prices, and realtor's value, and how the right frame around an objection turns it into a perfect work of art. I was going to share about the objections I overcame when I proposed and how we got married and how it was perfect and everything worked out and how that's how it's like for our clients. I even had, our perfect wedding pictures to illustrate it, but it was a little too perfect. Real estate, it happens in the streets, doesn't happen in a museum. And this next picture here more accurately describes how it feels to be in real estate in 2023. Who all feels this way? I mean, we've got this dog, he's trying so hard to keep it together, and we can all see how he's feeling. We've got housing affordability, we've got low inventory, high rates, high prices, maybe even the ability to earn buyer side commission is going away. And this dog's saying, what do I even say when clients ask me if it's a good time to buy or sell? And I just feel all kind of, nervous and wound up, anxious, fearful. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go over how how to overcome these objections, what to say, when to say it, to help people get where they really want to go. And we're gonna have a great time doing it. We're gonna have fun. So, do I have permission to not just share helpful info, but to also be real today? To be real about where we're at. Okay, cool. Well, let's it's okay to feel frazzled. It's okay to feel kind of worn down. And it's also okay to just feel amped up with energy and possibility. All of those things are what it's like to be in real estate this year. And so today we're going to lay out what I see as the awesome opportunity as we go into a new year. Who doesn't want kind of a fresh start in 2024? And we're also going to talk about the skill set to be able to capture that opportunity. So I'd like to see some comments here as we're kicking this off. Who feels excited? Who feels exhausted? Who feels overwhelmed? Where are you guys at this morning as we're getting started? I'll take a look at the comments here. Okay. Well, let's jump in. So let's talk first about an objection. What is an objection? It's not a rejection. It's not a personal rejection. And it feels like that. It feels like a personal rejection. And that's Scott Bacon says, ready to go. Awesome. Glad you're here, buddy. So an objection, it's an imagined threat of social rejection. It triggers the same reactions in our bodies as someone pulling a knife on us. And Leah says buyers are so worried about the rates. I hear that, and we're gonna share some awesome stuff on that today. Awesome. Thank you guys for both being here. So an objection, it feels like a personal rejection. That's just because we're humans, we're social creatures. And that threat registers the same as like a physical threat to our survival. It keeps us alive, but it doesn't help us thrive when we're in this uncertain environment. So let's look at what it really is. It's a request, right? It's a request for clarity. Everyone just say, an objection, it's someone asking you for clarity to help them understand. They want a home or they wouldn't be talking to you, but they just feel all confused and feel all overwhelmed. And so every time you receive an objection, I want you to just picture it in your mind. Imagine it as them giving you this huge gift with a big red bow on top that you get to unwrap for them. And that's because an objection, it's actually a precious gift. They're entrusting you with helping unpack their ball of confusion so they can get what they really want. Love that. Request for clarity. And Marissa, wonderful. Glad you're here. So yeah, it's a precious gift. They're entrusting you with helping unpack this confusing ball of emotions and thoughts so they can get where they really want. And confused people don't buy, right? Overwhelmed people wait. And I'm going super professional here. Please excuse my professional drawings, but this is kind of how it feels here to someone that's all confused. They're all scribbled up. They want something, but they're stuck. This kind of makes sense of this is the internal representation. This is how it feels to be in that confused state. And this is how it feels to be in that clear state. You notice there's still some bumps that need to get worked out, but they can move forward and get what they really want. The father in law showing up at the home inspection, they're going to scribble someone up, right? Just about any headline or any tweet or any video that someone watches, it's probably designed to make people feel scared enough to click and watch, and it's going to put them back into this state. And so confused people don't buy, confused people wait. And the conversations that people that are feeling this way, the way those sound, it's just, we just think it's time for us to wait, or we just don't feel like it's a good time for us right now. And as real estate professionals, one of our biggest roles this year, it's to help people move from this to this, right? It's to help them get clear on what they truly want so we can help them get that. And if they stay stuck here, um, they're just going to wait. Okay? So this is the big skill set in real estate this year. It's helping people move from confusion to clarity, and that's what we're really going to be addressing here. So if an objection, it's really just a request for clarity. Asking what are the common objections, it's another way of asking what are people confused about? What are the top things that people are confused about? Here's some common ones that I hear. You guys probably hear as well. Is it a good or bad time to buy? You know, um, looking on social media, reading tweets, all of those things are going to give confusing data that'll just kind of get people all bunched up and scribbled up around if it's a good or bad time. What about, is it a good or bad time to sell? Same thing. First time home buyers, they want a home, but they don't know, can I even do it? Maybe a move up home buyer doesn't quite know if they're able to do it as well. And here's one of the big ones. If we're being honest here today, many of us might even be wondering, is it a good time to be a realtor? Is it a good time to be a lender? We'll address that today too. We're going to go over the big opportunity. And in many ways, this one here is the most important question, because remember, sales, it's a transfer of emotion. If I don't think it's a good time to buy or sell real estate, what do you think I'm going to be transferring to clients? Sometimes in real estate, we transfer our fears, our insecurities, our traumas onto someone else and just kind of put our problems onto them, make this problem bigger, right? Um, that's just going to make people wait until they find someone that can help them, whoops, help them get from this state to this state. So differentiation, right? A lot of people think the differentiation means being different, being yourself, and it does. Yet the actual definition is the ability to sell a product or service without having to drop its price, right? Who wants to do that? To be able to sell things but receive full commission and have happy clients. Um, I the reason I started thinking about this is a couple of months ago, our regional president, Cody Hardridge, he came up to me and he said, I've been watching the numbers. You're the number one loan officer in our region on pricing variances. What that means is over a couple of month period, I had the happiest clients on rates that were in the 8% range with almost zero price concessions. Happiest clients on the highest rates I've ever seen in my career, giving up almost no pricing concessions. And he told me, what you're doing here is masterful. I need to learn from you. And I didn't even really know what to say. I didn't think I was doing anything different. I definitely wasn't using, verbal jujitsu to overcome client objections, to kind of force people to accept my rates. And it took me a bit to kind of understand what I was doing, because I didn't have any objections, or almost no rate objections. I had happy clients and I was the most profitable. And so I didn't see what I was doing. And it took me a bit to realize I was laying out these frames of reference that would guide every client through a process that gives them clarity on all these things in advance. And the reason that's important is if I wait until the end of my presentation to find out what they think is a high or a low rate, after I've already presented my rates to them, guess what? The only way I can secure their business is by me dropping my rates and me dropping revenue, right? Um, we're all salespeople here. We're all sales professionals. So we proactively establish our value way out in front before we even present our price. We're going to lead with massive value, or we're going to scramble to duct tape this together at the end with price concessions. So that's kind of the one of the main ideas here, differentiating the ability to sell without dropping price. So the way that we're going to do this is using frames. And the right frame placed around confusing information brings it into focus. It moves from, all the scribbled up to clear. And the right frame, when placed around something, can stir up emotions in the client. So think back to the first $100 you ever earned on your very first job, probably as a teenager. How great that felt to hold $100 cash in your hand. And now think about how it would feel if you looked in your bank account and all you saw was $100. It's the same amount of money, but that frame, that context causes you to feel either happiness and joy, to feel pleasure, or to feel pain. And the reason why this is important is that as communication professionals, we have a lot of cards in our hand, but the cards we lay on the table are what our clients are going to compare. And so we can compare any of these things. There's an unlimited number of things we can compare it to. And how we compare them, it's going to cause this client to feel pleasure or feel pain, which is really what's going to motivate them to take action. Does that make sense? So the comparisons that I lay on the table are what's going to cause someone to feel emotions and to be clear instead of confused, to take action to get what they really want. So when we're comparing rates, are we going to compare them to the lowest they were ever were during a worldwide pandemic, or are we going to compare them to the historical average? When we're comparing home prices, we're going to compare them. What are we going to compare them to? And a quote that I like to say is, the magic happens in the comparison we present. Like, the magic is how a client thinks and feels about this that motivates them to take action. And we can influence that by the comparisons that we're presenting to them. Okay, so the frames we present, they create the reality. They create the internal reality for the client. And if what we focus on expands, when we use language like, crazy, how's the market? Oh, it's crazy, or it's out of control. The Fed keeps raising rates and these headlines are saying prices are dropping, but I haven't seen that happen in Oklahoma, but they might drop next year. All that does is give clients a feeling of uncertainty, of things that are outside their control. And these types of languages create the feelings that are all, scribbled up. They're confused. They're not going to take action. So we're going to use language like, the market is unique. This is incredible opportunity. We're going to use language to give a feeling of control and choice. And when we're laying out information, it's, I want you to understand so that you can make the best choice for you and your family. That's the feeling, the internal state that motivates someone to feel good about buying a home, even if it's an uncertain situation. Okay. So this is important because as communicators, the frames we establish and the words we use, it literally creates the reality for our clients. And so when we're in a chaotic market, when we're in a shifting market, we want to be very clear about the reality that we are creating for our clients with our language, with our frames, with our comparisons, because like that's how they see this, and that's the mechanism that's going to get them to move forward and get what they want. So let's look at what I'll share what I say with every client that I'm meeting with. And so would it be helpful if clients agreed with me on whether rates are good, bad, or normal, and whether they're going to go up or down before they look at my rates? Yeah, of course. If we're having two separate conversations and we get to the end and their friend told them that rates were in 6% range and I show them a range of rates of 7 to 8, it doesn't matter what my rates are. The only way I'm going to secure their business is with a price concession. So I want to find out in advance before I ever present rates, kind of what their frame of reference is, what they're thinking, what they've heard, what they've read. And so I always ask, tell me what you've heard recently about mortgage rates. And they're going to share. And then I can say, great, I agree with you on this, this, and this. And that one thing you shared, let's take a look at the actual data to see what that's telling us, right? It allows me to know where they're coming from so that we can all have the same conversation in the same frame. And it's clear for them and it's consistent for me. So I'm gonna say, probably see the same headlines as you. It's easy for the media to cause a panic over like a 1% change in 1 week. Let's look at the actual data. And I'll make this a little bit bigger here. The actual data is Freddie Mac has been publishing this info for over 50 years. In 1971, rates began at 7.3%. At one point in 81, they reached over 18.5%. Of course, we remember that during the pandemic, there's about 12 months where they dipped below 3%. And now here we're again at 7.5. Rates are back to normal, right? The frame that I'm establishing with them is that rates are back to normal. And that means both of us agree, while they started at 7.5, went up, went down, we're back to normal. So that when I present rates that are above and below 7.5%, it doesn't trigger them feelings of stress or confusion. It feels like normal. Okay. Yeah. The frame there is rates are back to normal. Now let's talk about pre-framing home prices. So would it be helpful if our clients agreed on whether homes as an investment are going to be worth more or less in the future? Do people make different choices if they think values are plummeting? So we're going to pre-frame home prices because that makes sure that we're on the same page here, talking about investing in real estate. So I'm just going to ask, tell me what you've heard recently about home prices. They share what they've heard from their father-in-law, from TikTok. It's super helpful for me to know where they're coming from, how they're thinking about it. And then I can speak to that. And I'll pull up, this is the Case-Shiller Index. And I just say, what causes home prices to go up? It's supply and demand. So in 87, the largest demographic group in the US was baby boomers. And so as they entered the phase of their life where they're buying homes, do you see the effect of that increased demand of the largest demographic segment on home prices? It caused home prices to go up 500%. And did you know that baby boomers are no longer the largest demographic group? It's now millennials. And this year, millennials are on average 33 years old, just like baby boomers were in 87. And so, what do you think will happen to home prices when the biggest age group begins buying up inventory? I can ask the client that, and they're going to say, well, I think they're going to go up. And this matters to your clients because if the lender they're talking to causes them to see rates or the future value of homes differently, they're going to get all confused and they're going to wait. So you're doing your work as a realtor, showing them homes, but suddenly they get confused. So the frames that we lay out, how we walk them through that process, it's super important because it helps them feel clear, a sense of control, and be able to move forward. So the frame here is home prices are going up. One other thing, renters think completely differently about homes than homeowners do. And they understand the pains of renting, whether that's bad landlords, repair issues, neighbor issues, noisy neighbors, rent increases. But when it comes to thinking about the home, it's just kind of like this weird fuzzy dream thinking, whereas a homeowner understands what it's like to own a home. So we're going to ask them questions about what they know. We're going to say, tell me what you've seen happen recently with rent prices. We already know what they're going to say about rent. It's like asking someone, how do you feel about paying taxes each year? No one's excited about what they pay in rent or tax, but it's helpful that they say it, because that frames their internal representation. They become aware of it, and now that registers as pain and helps them get to where they really want to go, which is getting into their first home. So after they've shared, what they think about paying rent, say, did you know that supply and demand also affects rent prices? So if this chart here shows the effects of baby boomers' demand on rental prices, do you think that rent will go down or will go up as millennials start to move out and get their own places? So if rent and home prices are going to continue going up, would you rather wait and pay more in the future, or would you rather stack this in your wealth column today? It's another way of helping them not be able to unsee what the reality is and get clear on this reality so they can move forward. So the frame here is rent prices are going up. And I've shared this with probably most of you on here, but this is a really powerful frame, and it's the affordability gap. And so we can just say, are you familiar with the housing affordability gap? So that gap is the difference between this group of people over here that cannot afford to get a home, that are renting, and this is the group of people that own a home. And this people, over the course of their lifetime, they'll have about $8,000 that they can pass on to their kids for a better life. Homeowners on average have about $250,000 of net worth that they can pass on to their kids to have a better life. And so, we've got these two groups here. Which side do you want to be on? This is a really powerful frame. And after seeing this, people that are over here will do almost anything to get over here because it's such a huge variable for a better life for you and a better life for your kids. Okay. So we've gone over a lot of information so far. I'm just going to do a quick recap. This is kind of like the halfway point. So we've gone over confusion to clarity, being scribbled up and then being clear. We've talked about objections are requests for clarity, right? It's not this personal attack or a personal rejection. It's someone asking you, hey, I'm all jumbled up. I'm confused. I really want this thing, but I need some help getting there. Would you help me? We talked about how the right frame can help clear up confusion just by presenting some of those frames about home prices, about rates, about rent, can help someone get clarity on, oh my gosh, I need to do this and I need to do this right now. The right frame also, it's going to cause people to feel either pleasure or pain to motivate them to take action. And then the timing of these framings, so pre-framing them in advance, means that we've already solved those objections. Like the client is not confused. They remain clear the whole way through. And so they're not going to come up at the end with an objection that I then have to solve with a price decrease, right? So a lot of information so far. I want to check in with you guys. What have you gotten so far? What are the top things you've gotten? Um, what questions do you have? Any comments? Okay. Because we're just getting started. We're going to talk a little bit now about pre-framing our value as professionals, which is getting everyone to use us, to pay full commission, and to love doing it. So let's jump in. Here is what I say as a loan officer. I'm going to pre-frame my value here as a loan officer. I say, you've got an incredible opportunity this year. You can buy your home without all the competition you would have had in the last 2 years. And this is your big win this year. It's just getting a home. Just getting a home this year. If you do nothing else, that's a huge win. So no matter what rate you get, I'm going to be watching out for you in the future. There's a good chance rates are going to dip here in the next couple of years. I get up every morning, look at the markets and look at all my clients. And when those rates drop, I'll reach out to you. I'll help you save even more money. How does that sound to you? right? Um, while I give a ton of professional value to clients, this is the moment that I know that they're going to use me because I see it when we're meeting face to face. I'll see them like pat their spouse on the leg. I'll see them relax and sigh. A lot of times they'll even say, "Honey, like this is what we want." It's they want someone who's good at what they do and who cares about them. And so hearing this, this is the moment I know they're going to use me, and it's not about price. It's about having someone that's good that cares about them, right? Marissa asks, can you repeat the difference in wealth again between homeowners and those who never make the leap? Um, so the average net worth of renters at the end of their life is $8,000, $8,000 to give to their kids to have a better life in the future. And the average net worth of homeowners is $250,000 that they can then give to charities of their kids to have a better life. It literally is one of the biggest wealth gaps in America, and there is a second wealth gap, and that is homeowners to investors. The average net worth of someone that has invested in real estate, it's either 1.1 or 1.3 million dollars. So there are some huge wealth gaps. And what's awesome about this, we're in real estate. We are the ones responsible for helping people get from this side of the gap to this side of the gap. So we're not just selling homes, like we are changing the lives of the children of our clients in a huge way. Like what we do has an incredible value. And so don't forget that. I know there's a lot of competing narratives. There's a lot of things that when we read online or check social media that can cause us to feel confused or feel like our value is less. It is not. More so than ever, the work that we do and the people we help get across that wealth gap, we are helping set them and their kids up for a completely different life. Um, so if that helps you establish your value and communicate that, we're not just talking about selling a home or buying a home for 2% versus 3%. We're talking about your kids having $250,000 to do their dreams. That's what we're doing. What's the average net worth of investors? I'm writing that down. I'll look up the stat that I had. I know it was at least 1.1 million. I may have seen 1.3 million somewhere. And I've thought about doing another one of these of kind of the second wealth gap, moving from homeowner to investor, because that's huge as well. We can have a conversation about Leah. I just had a conversation with one of our mutual clients that I had shared about a home for every child. How after you get a house, every time you have a kid, buy a rental property, get it paid off, and in over 18 years, you've got a free and clear investment that can pay for their college or them to start a business, um, or wedding costs. And he had been doing that. That's a whole conversation we can do. So if that's something you'd like to do, I've got some materials on that. We could build something like that on, and we could invite clients to that this next year. Cool. Okay. So, love that. Pre-frame my value as a loan officer. So this is how I pre-frame my value as a loan officer. This is what I say to every client. And this is what allowed me to have happiest clients on rates in the 8% with no pricing concessions. Here's how we can apply this to you as a realtor. And I think I'd asked Leah this earlier. What do you see the challenge in the buyer's agent comp lawsuit? Right? Is it? Let me make this a little bit bigger. Is it A, young buyers don't have an extra 3%, so they won't be able to get a home, and I won't get commission? Is it B, without NAR requiring agent co-op compensation, I'll have to be okay with whatever sellers and selling agents are willing to give me? Is it C, I'm afraid buyer's agents will do it for less than 3%. So there'll be this race to the bottom of who can do it for the least. I'm afraid buyers won't use agents anymore if they have to pay out of pocket. Like if someone has to pay out of pocket for a buyer's agent, they just won't do that anymore. Or is it E, I personally don't feel comfortable explaining my value or asking. I'm curious, everyone here on the call, what do you guys see as the main challenge here in that buyer's agent compensation lawsuit? A, B, C, or D? I've been talking with a lot of agents. I've heard a lot of these, and so I'll just kind of speak to this. That I can cover that for you as a lender, about buyers not having that extra 3%. And so while I've seen people with credit or income challenges not be able to get a home, I've never seen someone who really wanted a home that was just short assets. I've never seen someone that was short assets not get a home. So we've got about 18 different ways that we can do that. We've got gifts from family members, we've got tax refunds. I've had people sell everything. I think Scott, we had a client, a couple that sold their wedding rings to get a house. I've had people sell their pet goats. I even had someone sell the gold teeth from their deceased grandma. And remember, we're selling something that people truly want. It's helping them cross over that affordability gap. And so the way that conversation can sound is, look, you know, maybe 3% on a $200,000 first time home buyer purchase. So, um, would your parents be willing to gift $6,000 to help you get over on this other side and have $250,000 to give to their own grandkids for a better life? I mean, that's what we're talking about here. So I'm confident that I've got 18 different things that I can do to cover A, and then B through E. That's explaining your value and proving your value to clients. And we'll dive into that right now. So on this, all of them, LOL, Leah, awesome. So on this, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a realtor, so I'm not going to be giving you legal advice. I'm not going to be giving you advice on your business as a realtor. You've got a broker. You probably have about a dozen real estate coaches that are messaging you every week for the realtor business advice. And what we don't know appeals. We don't know the time frame of appeals, like what that will change or when that will change. We don't know about the future of NAR. It's obvious that there are some changes happening at NAR, but I don't really control that. And then also iBuyer. There is a movement, and there has been for a number of years, for whether it's like Zillow or Amazon getting into real estate. Some of these iBuyer firms that use big data, they use AI to come in here. I don't I don't control any of that, so I'm not going to be speaking to that. But what I will speak to is what I went through as a loan officer in 2010 when our whole industry had loan officer comp. What I saw, the maybe two or three things that mattered and all the rest that didn't matter. And what we do know about, we know that change is coming. It has been coming for a while. Now it is here. B, there is a race to define a realtor's value, and how we frame your value is the difference between someone else saying realtors aren't worth 3%, they're worth a flat fee, or they're worth, like, someone else imposing that frame over you and your value is not where you want to be. There's a race to define your value, and we're going to give you the tools to do that proactively. And there's a race to extract a realtor's value. And by that, I mean this iBuyer movement. It's the same race to extract like a travel agent's value that happened 10 years ago. It's using AI, it's using the power of big data, and it's using systems to replace the things that a realtor can do to keep that 3% or 6% commission in the profits of a company, right? It's kind of doing what you do, but using systems, AI to keep those profits. So that's kind of the landscape that I see. And as a loan officer in 2010, what I heard was so many people say, you can't make a living. The industry is going downhill. The government's regulating how much I can make to pay my family. I'm getting out of the business. But what I saw that happened in 2010, it's the professionals thrive. That was when my business like took off like that. And the bar for entry, the value of professionals in the industry went up. And the people just like you guys that are showing up to grow and develop your business, we're the ones that took off and had an incredible career. So I've been talking with a buddy of mine, Nick McLean. He's a top agent up in Washington State. He coaches top producing agents all across the US and also in Canada. In Canada's real estate, it's interesting. It's like the exact opposite of the industry in the US. You have to have a college degree. There's a year-long certification process. It's like very professional real estate in Canada. So Nick has some unique viewpoints on both national and international real estate markets. And what he said was that the MLS in the Northwestern United States, they made these changes 3 years ago because they saw this lawsuit coming. And what he said was all that changed is that for the past 3 years, sellers negotiate how much they pay each agent separately. They write, there's two separate fields where they will write in how much they're going to pay the listing agent, how much they're going to pay the buyer. The second thing that changed is that instead of the sellers paying 6% to the listing agent that has a co-opt agreement to give a percentage of that to the buyer's agent, that seller pays explicit payments to both agents, right? So instead of going seller to listing agent, then a co-op, it's seller to two agents. And it means that each of those commissions or compensations is negotiable and each is completely separate from each other. And he said at the end of the day, there is one new form on the listing agreement and there is one new buyer form that'll be coming out in January, which basically pre-negotiates the time frame that you will work and how much commission or compensation you'll receive if you close a transaction during that time. It just kind of gives additional clarity and puts the onus on realtors to negotiate and establish their value. It's the same thing that any other professional does. And it was interesting. He said, while sellers have been able to offer 0% buyer's comp for 3 years, you know what he told me? He said, I've never seen anyone actually do it. It's like there's all this talk about it. And at the end of the day, it's two more forms. And it's just learning how to communicate our value in a way that we feel comfortable with, that is clear, that someone else feels comfortable with. And that very low barrier to entry required caused a lot of agents to get out of the business, and the ones that learned how to do that one skill have done incredible. Nick and his brokerage are doing incredible things up in Washington. If you ever get a chance, check him out. He's pretty incredible. So it basically means professionals will likely make more money, grow market share, and it's great news for agents like you guys who showed up, right? So here's where you guys get to kind of help write a buyer's agent value proposition to pre-frame this, because each of you guys have a little bit of different unique value propositions. So I'm curious, what is it that makes you valuable? Is it communication? Is it service, stress-free process, maybe the advice or the results, or top producer status? Another way to think of this is, what's the biggest problem your clients face? Because our frame should position you to be the only solution for their problem. So go ahead and answer in chat. What are some of your big value propositions to clients? And we can kind of workshop this and come up with a frame to solve that. Let's see here. I wrote out a few things to kind of use some of the things that I use as a loan officer. We've got, what's important to you about getting this next home? If we know what their pain point is or the pleasure they're moving towards, we can use that as part of our frame. The ability to stay neutral and calm when everyone else gets stressed. This is a key skill to keep deals together when everyone else might blow it up. Leah, love that. Yeah, Leah, you are masterful at keeping things positive and calm and proactive and keeping everyone feeling great about this thing. So wonderful. So how could we pre-frame that? Um, maybe I'd ask, you know, I've helped X amount of families get homes, and it never gets old. There's always changes things I learn on each one. And what people survey as the biggest challenge when getting their home, or the biggest stressor. It's how crazy or stressful it feels. That's their biggest pain point when getting a home. And what's interesting when I talk to my clients at the end of this, they say my biggest skill set and my biggest value was that I made it feel easy. The way I interacted with them, answered their questions, and kept it simple and smooth meant that not only did they get the house, but it didn't feel stressful and they felt great. So isn't that what you really want, to get a house and not feel stressful? Great, because that's what you're going to get with me. How does that sound, Leah? That was kind of a off the cuff. Here a few other questions here. What's important about your choice of a real estate professional? We can ask them that question, and they're going to let us know everything that's important to them. They want someone to communicate via text or nights and weekends, or that can show houses to an out of town buyer. They'll let you know. That way we can make sure that in our frame, that's part of our value to them. We could use the, no matter what home you get this year, I'll be watching out for you to make sure that it's smooth and it's stress free for you. No matter what home you get, that's your choice. I'll give you the professional feedback on, what it's worth and what to do to get what you want. And in the meantime, I'll be making sure that, it feels easy, it feels stress free for you. Great. Okay. Great. So if you have other questions about this, let me know. This is the kind of thing that my mind just is always running circles about, how to kind of use language and use these frames to make an impact on how someone feels and the actions they take. So would love to kind of workshop this with you guys individually. Just reach out to me. So we're going to move on here. Power of partnerships. Most people I saw on here were already working together. So you already know, the simplest way to overcome these objections is to work with other people that are using them as well. The frames that we create around rates, around the value of homes, of everything we do, we build up that trust and we transfer that to you. So obviously, if you have a client that is working with maybe a weak or an inexperienced lender, that what they're saying about rates, home prices, or the process is causing them to get stressed out, that's probably going to put them back into that state where they decide it's time to wait. So we would love to work with you and just help every buyer and every seller go through these process to be clear. They feel great about it. And in this market, these frames are equally impactful for sellers and buyers. So while I do financing on the buyer side, most sellers are also a buyer, and I can help people move to 45 states. So would love to talk with them and help guide them through that as well. Uh, so most of the big stuff here, cross-selling partners, strategic cross-selling to help you increase your conversion. Most of you on this call have had experiences where we've listened and reached out to you to say, hey, so and so is talking with another agent. Reach out to them so you can help them. Most of you guys already know about the gifts that we do during the process and after, because we want it to feel like Christmas morning getting a house. Most of you know about HomeBot, and that is just sending emails every month to every single one of our past clients that gives them personalized monthly info about how much equity they have and how this equity could help them with their next purchase. It kind of plants the seed of their next purchase with every single client we've helped. Whether they want to buy a lake house, investment property, pay for their kids' college, it's like an automatic real estate portfolio review that plants the seeds for the next transaction. And then also client referrals. I think this year I've personally referred about $54,000 of commissions to partner agents just in the last couple of months, for staying in touch with, say, past clients and generating additional referrals that I use to feedback to partner agents. So we can totally do more together. If you don't have this kind of a partnership with your lender, let me know. We'd love to work together and go through that with you. And one last thing, close by Christmas. So send over contracts by December 13th. We'll guarantee they get in their house before Christmas. I love this. Most of you on this call, I believe we've done some close by Christmases together, and it's just fun. It feels great getting to be house Santa. In fact, Lee and I had a family that it was like 4 o'clock or 4:15 on the Friday. It'd probably be like this Friday. Leah called me and said, "Hey, is it too late to do the close by Christmas? Can you work up a prequal?" We went ahead and worked up a prequal. Seller already had one offer. Leah told them to wait. We had another one coming in. So we put in this offer, and I think it was like an 8 or a 9 day close. And this family closed on their home before Christmas, got to move in there. It was just the coolest thing. So I personally get so much fulfillment out of doing this. If we can help you, help another family get the home they want for Christmas, it's like an incredible gift to give to them and give to their kids. And I love being able to do this. So let me know. We're here for you. We're staffed up and ready to make this happen for you. And then this, you like this? This is the next steps. Clever, right? So thank you guys for showing up. Here's the next steps. If we're not partnered, let's meet. Let's partner. I think this QR code is for that, to just set up a time to meet. And then number two, I do need your help. And so I honestly put a ton of time into writing and putting together this presentation, and I would love your help in helping more agents this next year. And so, if everyone could just invite one other person, would love that. That helps me help more people this year. So, if there's anyone you know that could benefit from this, please share it. It matters who says it. So if I, as a lender, am chasing them, it's different than if another realtor says, "Hey, Will's doing some awesome stuff. You need to check him out. Get in touch with him." So I appreciate you guys. If you could do that, that would be huge for me. And then last one here, January 10th, we're going to have another one of these calls at 11 o'clock. I haven't decided what it's going to be over. I've thought about maybe AI, maybe social media, or maybe bringing on some additional guests. So if there are things that you would love to see that would be valuable for you, let me know. I'm currently kind of building out what I intend to do for this next year. So let me know. That's super helpful for me. Thank you. Any other questions? 10 days contract to close. Yeah. Let's see here. What other questions do you guys have for me? I I feel like we flew through this. There's a lot of content. What would be helpful? What to clarify? Okay. I'm I'm not seeing any questions or comments. If you guys have anything, let me know. I'm here for you. Once again, thank you guys. Let's help some families get in some homes for Christmas. If there's anything else you need, let me know. Take care. Appreciate you all.